Man, it has been a bad few months for sports in the city of Houston. Really, it's been a bad couple of years because the decisions made by both the Rockets and the Texans have finally caught up with them. James Harden, as we all know, he abandoned the Rockets after he created a mess and wanted out when things blew up in his face. And with the Texans, they held on to Bill O'Brien for far too long. They allowed him to completely wreck this franchise, trade away draft picks, trade one of the best wide receivers in the league, make baffling coaching decisions in the playoffs. All of this set up their franchise quarterback, the only franchise quarterback in the history of the franchise to want out of Houston. And he wants out now. It's being reported that Deshaun Watson has privately asked the Texans to be traded. Now, some are reporting since his trade demand, he's actually just stopped answering phone calls from the Texans altogether. Now, this should come as no surprise to anyone. The Texans are a dumpster fire. They are an embarrassment. It is unbelievable how badly they have screwed this up with Deshaun Watson. The Texans have been in the NFL since 2002, damn near 20 years. Like I said a second ago, in that time, the Texans have had one franchise quarterback, Deshaun Watson. In all the years that he has been in Houston, they have failed to put a competitive team around him. Anytime they had players that could help him win, DeAndre Hopkins, Jadeveon Clowney, Tyrann Mathieu, the Texans allowed Bill O'Brien to either trade him away or let him walk in free agency because he didn't want to pay him. This offseason, the Texans have been searching for front office staff, general manager, and a head coach. I believe what I'm about to tell you is the straw that broke the camel's back for Deshaun Watson. He came to ownership in Houston with recommendations for general managers, and he wanted to be consulted about who they hired as the head coach. And he was completely ignored. Not only did they ignore him, he found out about some of the front office hires, the general manager hires, the same time that you and I did. And this isn't the first time that that's happened either. When they traded DeAndre Hopkins last year, not once did they consult with Deshaun Watson about it. Like I said, that outright disrespect is what I believe influenced Deshaun Watson to get the hell out of Houston immediately. No one can blame him for it either. Texans fans, you can't be mad at Deshaun Watson. Be mad at your franchise. The Texans are getting exactly what they deserve. Franchise quarterbacks, they don't come around that often. Hell, it took the Saints decades to find one. New Orleans was a perennial loser. I remember when going to games as a child, and the Superdome is full of fans with bags over their heads. A franchise quarterback can change the perception of your team, just like Drew Brees did in New Orleans. Deshaun Watson, he would have done the same thing for the Texans, but they didn't appreciate him. They didn't treat him like he was valued, and now he wants out. And there's nothing that the Texans can do about it. There's no changing his mind at this point. The question everyone is asking now, where will Deshaun Watson be playing next season? Now, I've seen points being made for just about every team in the NFL. The only team people can agree on where Deshaun Watson won't be playing next year is the Houston Texans. I heard Nick Wright on FS1 yesterday morning make the case that any team that is interested in going after Deshaun Watson should pursue him hard and be willing to give up 5 first-round draft picks for him. Now, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And not because I don't think Deshaun Watson's worth 5 first-round picks. He is. He absolutely is. You can't put a price on a franchise quarterback. More than likely, whoever those players would be in those 5 picks, Deshaun Watson's better than every one of them. But that's ridiculous, trading 5 first-rounders for Deshaun Watson, because the Texans have very little leverage in this situation. Now, sure, they could hold on to Deshaun Watson, make him stay in Houston, be unwilling to trade him. But what does that accomplish? If they do that, Next year is essentially a wasted season. There is no sense in delaying the inevitable. The marriage between the Texans and Deshaun Watson, it's over. Rip the Band-Aid off. Get the best deal you can for him and move on. Another reason I say the Texans have very little leverage, Deshaun Watson has a no trade clause in his contract. I've seen reports that the Jets are going to go after Deshaun Watson. And in a way, it makes sense. They have the most to offer in terms of draft picks. The Jets have loads of first-round picks that they've acquired. And the plan all along has been for them to rebuild through the draft. But if you can get Deshaun Watson, those plans go right out the window. His contract wouldn't be a problem for the Jets. They have plenty of cap space. But the problem is, the Jets can't get Deshaun Watson because of the no-trade clause. Think about it from his perspective. You've been in a bad situation in Houston your entire career. Why the hell would you get out of one bad situation and jump right back into another one? The Jets have been in a consistent rebuild for the last 10 years. Getting Deshaun Watson isn't enough to fix the problems in New York. They need to overhaul the entire roster, along with the coaching staff. Franchise quarterbacks, don't get me wrong, they're critical, they're important, but they're only one piece to the puzzle. You got to have talent around them. We saw that firsthand this year in Houston. Deshaun Watson had arguably the best year of his career, at least statistically, and the Texans still finished 4-12. So let's briefly go over a couple of other options for Deshaun Watson next season. I'm not going to talk about the 49ers here today. We discussed them a week or so ago. You can go check out that video in the archives if you want to. The Niners are one of my favorites to land Deshaun Watson, but I think the Miami Dolphins could also make a compelling case. For one, there's no state income tax in Florida. And when you're banking millions of dollars every year, that is a big deal. The Dolphins are ready made for a playoff push. Great young coach in Brian Flores, one of the better defensive units in the league. Now, they need to get some help offensively. They need a number one receiver and a running back. But the Dolphins should have been in the playoffs this season. The only reason they didn't make it was because they benched Ryan Fitzpatrick for Tua Tagovailoa mid-season. We have covered that extensively here on the channel. Tua was not ready to lead a team to the playoffs. Now, I'm not knocking him. It's just the truth. Miami also makes sense from the Texans' perspective. The Dolphins can send Tua to Houston, which would likely kill his career. The Texans have an awful track record of developing young quarterbacks. The Texans could also recoup some of the draft picks that Bill O'Brien sent to Miami a couple of years ago in that Laramie Tunsil trade. Now let me get to one more team that could make a push for Deshaun Watson. Most of the teams in consideration right now, the Jets, the Steelers, the Dolphins, they're all in the AFC, which if you're the Texans, you're likely not looking to trade your franchise quarterback within the conference and have to play him every year or every couple of years. There's one team, though, that I haven't seen mentioned by anybody. The New Orleans Saints. Now, before all you guys accuse me of being a homer, just hear me out for a second. To be clear, the Saints don't have much to offer Houston in terms of draft picks, at least in this year's draft. They only had 3 picks in 2021. However, maybe they could get a third team involved to make this more enticing for the Texans. The Saints would already be an enticing destination for Deshaun Watson. He would be playing for one of the best quarterback developers and offensive minds in the league in Sean Payton. They have a Super Bowl caliber defense. Deshaun Watson would have more offensive weapons in New Orleans than he's ever had in his entire career. He would be an immediate Super Bowl contender for the first time in his career. I know it would take some trickery to get him to New Orleans. Like we talked about yesterday, the Saints are in a precarious position with their salary cap. But we have seen in the past how Mickey Loomis is a master at manipulating the salary cap. If anybody could get it done, it's Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton. Plus, the bulk of the money on Deshaun Watson's contract is paid out on the back end. He's only owed around $16 million next year, or in 2021. But if he's traded, the Texans will be on the hook for his signing bonus, which means the Saints would only be responsible for around $10 million of his salary in 2021. We'll see what happens going forward with Deshaun Watson. I think he ends up in either San Francisco or Miami. I just wanted to bring New Orleans up as a possible consideration. I mean, the Saints would be foolish at this point not to go after Deshaun Watson, especially with Drew Brees, contemplating retirement. And even if Drew Brees doesn't retire, I don't think the Saints should bring him back next year. Now, what I can tell you for certain, Deshaun Watson has played his final game for the Houston Texans, and they have no one to blame but themselves. That's all for today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Are the Texans to blame for this situation with Deshaun Watson? Where do you think he will be playing next season? Let me know in the comments below. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.